A reading from the first letter of St. Paul the Apostle to the Corinthians. Brothers and sisters, knowledge puffs up, but love builds up. Anyone who claims to know something does not yet have the necessary knowledge, but anyone who loves God is known by him. Hence, as to the eating of food offered to idols, we know that no idol in the world really exists, and that there is no God but one. Indeed, even though there may be so-called gods in heaven and on earth, as in fact there are many gods and many lords, yet for us there is one God, the Father, from whom are all things, and for whom we exist, and one Lord, Jesus Christ, through whom are all things and through whom we exist. It is not everyone, however, who has this knowledge. Since some have become so accustomed to idols until now, they still think of the food they eat as food offered to an idol, and their conscience, being weak, is defiled. So by your knowledge, those weak believers for whom Christ died are destroyed. But when you thus sin against brothers or sisters and wound their conscience when it is weak, you sin against Christ. Therefore, if food is a cause of their failing, so I will never eat meat, so that I may not cause one of them to fall. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The responsorial psalm, Guide me, Lord, along the everlasting way. Guide me, Lord, along the everlasting way. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away. You search out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. Guide me, Lord, along the everlasting way. For it was you who formed in my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. Guide me, Lord, along the everlasting way. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my thoughts. See if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. Guide me, Lord, along the everlasting way. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, I say to you that listen, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, then offer the other also, and from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who begs from you, and if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them again. Do to others as you would have them to do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love your enemies, do good, and lend, expecting nothing in return. Your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, for he is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
The first reading is about the scandal, or on the other side, the good example that we give in the details, or even in the details how we behave. And here, the question about the Corinthians was, and they were living in the pagan culture, it was all those ritual banquets and ritual meals, and they were just accustomed that yes, the food they were eating, it was offered to their idols, to their false gods, and so it was always mixed with some kind of worship, and yes, for them it was something that they were seeing all the time, and so they were not disturbed by that. It was for them natural. But now the Christians appear there, and they in some way have to make a difference. And they could not just accept that yes, we offer our sacrifices, so we eat with those that food that was offered to false gods, and still serve the true God. So St. Paul is distinguishing those two concepts of the worship of true God and the false worship, and he says that, see, there are some people of weak faith, and they watch you, they see you. So although for you that for you who believe that the food that was offered to the idols really mean nothing, because there is no other God the one God in heaven. That for those who see it, they could be confused and have their faith may be affected, or they will simply not recognize the true God. And we have to see it even in our day. There are so many who are pretty confused, and we live with all kind of wrong messages and wrong examples. And so many really don't know, or are so confused that they don't know what to choose. And this way we get a message that we should be always careful not to send some mixed message that yes, we serve God, but we also serve everything else. And that serving one God means pure worship of true God, and avoiding even any participation in that worship of the false gods. And now coming to concrete examples, concrete situations. Today the sacrament of marriage is in quite a messy situation, and it is quite a messy concept. Today so many things are called marriage, and they are not. But for the Christians, we should stand for the sacrament of marriage as the Lord has established it. It means the union of one man, one woman, forever, and blessed by the Lord, or with the Lord present in that union. And so that's what we have always celebrated in the church. The two people who fall in love and commit each to other, they come to the church and make that commitment public, take God for witness, and also ask for the blessing. And with God, with His blessing, they go and live that union. But today there are so many others who don't even consider God, or that God should have something with their life, and sadly, they go and they have ceremonies on the beach, or somewhere on the tree, or on the roof of the house, and wherever, hotels and parks, and yes. There are so many Catholics who go there, and even after that they say, "Oh, it was so beautiful," and they still praise it. That's really a confusing message. And it is St. Paul speaks here about 2,000 years ago about that mixture between service to the true God and service to the idols. And we think that no, it doesn't happen now. Yes, it happens. I've just mentioned this example, and yes, how many Catholics easily go to any of these fake ceremonies or scandalous ceremonies, and support it with their presence, support it with their approval, and finally they are even able to say, "Oh yes, it was so wonderful," and collaborate with it, and so in some way support it. And we have to be quite careful. If those who believe or declare that they believe in God, if they don't defend the true faith, and don't keep it clean of all those vices and influences of the world, and then we are in a real trouble. And it is what we need to reform. Reform does not mean, okay, so we will change everything in the church and follow the world. No. It is to reform, means to return to the original form, to return to the design that God gave it at the beginning. And then so reform means, yes, with all those vices and weaknesses and sins that happen among us, we will return to that original design of God. One man, one woman, forever, and with God's blessing. And we have to stand for it, and stand for it courageously. And yes, that someone will say, "Oh, why didn't you come to my sermon, to my party?" We have to be clear and bold, to give testimony to our faith. And if I have said this, there are so many other things that this year, I don't know what happened, actually in our church, I had some 3 or 4 cases when the church was almost empty because there was a shower. There was someone was too dirty. I always say that half of the church had to go to washing. But it was shower. It was a baptism, it was shower before the baby is born, and shower before the wedding. And then the shower is somewhere in the afternoon, and in the morning the people cannot be in the church because they have to go to serve the devil. Sorry, I don't have other word for that. What is it? What is the shower? And is it more important than the service to the Lord? And I have said it boldly, and so I can only repeat it, that when the people say that yes, so we have a wedding shower, that I have to be there, I said, let's see, given the situation of the marriage in the year 2012, you should spend all the day on your knees in the church praying for them, because that's the most dangerous and most risky enterprise they can even conceive. And so pray for them. And it is definitely not the reason to drop the prayer, drop the worship, and go and have a party. That's exactly the opposite we have to do. And there are so many other vices, so many other scandals that sadly even the Catholics give. And as we come to those terrible points, like those terrible numbers, like those 98% of Catholic women that at some point in their life use the contraception, and abortions that are in the church and out of the church, and now they are in the world, and we cannot say that we don't have them in the church. Even the people who go to the church have them, and so on. So we have so many who live in sin, and nobody seems to be disturbed too much, and everybody will say, "Oh no, I cannot say anything." He could be upset. Do we serve true God, or do we serve those idols or serve them, or mix it together in such a way that those who don't know or don't understand simply cannot find the truth? They have to find the truth in our consistent testimony of faith. So it is about those foods that are offered to the idols, and that the Christians can eat them. Yes, it is. There are no false gods, and so there are no other gods. It is for us really, it is nothing. But we cannot say that it does not matter whether I am there or what I do. No, it matters. It gives a wrong impression that in some way we follow those pagan customs. And then in the gospel we hear about that love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on one cheek, offer the other also. And if anyone takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. What does it mean? That should we be, and it sounds maybe terrible, but should we be really so naive or so reckless that we don't care about some dangers, or about even some justice and some opportunity to educate and so on? So don't we care about anything and just give up to all kind of human weaknesses and sins? No, it is definitely not the intention of the gospel. We know that just a few days ago we have read that the people in the synagogue where Jesus was rose against him and led him to the cliff on which the town was built and wanted to throw him down, but Jesus walked among them and disappeared. So he was not waiting until he was killed, he walked away. So it is not an absolute truth that we have to give in and just go toward the enemies of faith or where the sinners want to take us. But it is rather about that giving a new opportunity to ourselves and even to others. And it is, if anyone strikes you on one cheek, offer the other also. And I will say it in other words, that how many times we have some kind of conflict, maybe not even too grave or too serious, some conflict, and we just write someone off and I won't speak to this anymore, I cannot do anything with him, and we just turn away and break totally our relationship. And we really don't know, because sometimes it can be really just an accident, and next time we can find out that yes, he may apologize, and we can be great friends and work together all the rest of our lives. But how many times we simply turn away, closing our heart, closing our souls, and breaking everything. And that's what the Lord doesn't want. When he speaks, we hear it later, do not judge and you will not be judged, do not condemn and you will not be condemned, forgive and you will be forgiven. It is one of the worst abused versicles or statements of the gospel. Do not judge and you do not condemn. It is just to make it clear, it is about that final judgment that yes, you are bad and I don't want to know about you. That's final, and you won't have any other opportunity. Actually, it is what our society is doing. That let's say when someone does something stupid or something that may be crime, he has a criminal record, police record. Will that record be ever deleted? Yes, I know that there is a process that they say that it is forgiven or that it is not deleted. It remains there, and any policeman in the police records or in the judicial records can find out that someone had such and such trouble 40 years ago, 50 years ago, and it is all well kept there. There is no forgiveness. I know that here in the world sometimes at least some of these things are not mentioned in the official documents after a certain time and some process, but that process of pardon, that it is just relative, that it is really never erased. And it is that someone is written off, and he, for example, cannot get some serious job or some sensitive job with the government and so on, because that it is still kept there. So it is that condemning someone. So it is done officially, and we know about it, and that's simply the rules of game, and it is sad, bad, but it exists. But we do the same thing even personally. Sometimes there is nothing official and so nothing written anywhere, but when we remember that someone has done or someone has said 50 years ago this or 10 years ago this, and so he's bad and I don't want to know about him, it is common behavior, and that's what the gospel is forbidding. That yes, that someone has done yesterday something, I have to give him another opportunity, and I cannot just run or hide. So I have to give him another opportunity and take the risk. Without that risk, we will never get someone to change the behavior and do better. How can he do better if we simply run away and leave him in the sin? So it is the way of the correction and the way of redemption, and that we are able to forgive, we are able to start again. And it is what we have also we have to practice with ourselves. Because it is another thing that can happen. Now I was speaking about others, but how many times we say to ourselves that, oh yes, well, I cannot do better, I'm this or I'm that, I'm a drunkard, I'm whatever, and I cannot do better. Yes, we can. And we always have to have that hope that yes, I can do, and thanks be to God that God does not reject us, that God does not condemn us. He gives us always a new opportunity, and we have to grab that opportunity and live it. So we need it for ourselves, and with God we can do it, and we have to give that same opportunity to others. That's what the gospel is teaching us. With the judgment, we make the judgments all the time. So when we cross the street, we look left and look right, and make a judgment whether it is safe to pass to cross the street. If you make a wrong judgment, we are dead. And walking and driving car and doing so many things, we make judgments all the time, and we have to make them and really stick to them and be careful to make the right judgment. It is simply part of the life. And it is not judgment that has to involve other people. And it cannot be judgment in the sense that someone is condemned. But we have to make the judgments even about the people. Let's say if I walk along some streets here, even here in Thunder Bay, and there is a nice or not so nice lady that says, "Don't you need some company this evening?" I have to make a judgment. And I have to say, "Man, that's not for me," and walk away. No matter how much she may be smiling and how much she may promise. I have to say, "No, that's not for me," and I go away. So we have to make a judgment. If someone says, "Let's go and drink," again, I have to make a judgment. Is it right or not? So the judgment is one thing, but it does not mean that I have the right to condemn someone and write him off and cut all the relation. And yes, to that judgment even to this kind of personal judgment, we have to add what the Lord is teaching us. So that yes, it is an opportunity to be witnesses of the truth and even to help to redeem the one who is wrong or who is doing something wrong or who is at the point of sinning. If we are able to turn him away from the sin, from the judgment, it may be really a great work of salvation.